Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Kassandra, and today we're going to do a pretty intense class that's going to focus on improving your balance with some asymmetrical poses, and we're also going to really work our core. So I'm not going to lie, it is a pretty challenging flow. I would say intermediate and also maybe to advanced students would really appreciate this kind of practice. Probably not suitable for beginners. Some of the poses are probably just going to be a little bit out of range, but definitely a great intermediate flow. Now we are going to be using 2 blocks for our class today. Definitely make sure you have that somewhere close by, and let's begin in a wide like a child's pose. Big toes come together, knees are as wide as you would like them to be, and just walk the palms forward, letting the forehead come down to the floor. So starting this class by connecting to your breath. And breathing in and out through the nose, and sending that breath all the way down to the low belly and the low back. So balancing poses are some of my favorite to do, but they can be super frustrating because honestly, no matter how advanced you might be, there are some days where it just doesn't matter what you do, balance does not work. So you will need to have a bit of a sense of humor with today's practice. Don't take yourself too seriously if things don't go as planned. It's really not a big deal. If you fall, don't worry about it. Everyone falls. So in this child's pose, set your intention for this practice. For me, my intention is to just not take myself too seriously and just roll with the punches. And let's lift up, tabletop pose onto hands and knees. We'll just warm up with a series of cat and cow. So fingertips spread nice and wide, knees are underneath the hips. Cat and cow, as you inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze, curl tailbone up, nice extension. And on the exhale, round the spine. Draw your chin to your chest, let your head dangle. And take a few more here, go at your own pace. Pressing down through the fingertips and knuckles. Getting this motion in the upper as well as the lower back, so we're not just overcompensating and relying on our existing flexibility, but actually trying to even things out. And if you're new to my channel, I hope that you will subscribe. It's a great way to support free yoga on the internet, plus it's free, so why not? I also have a ton of yoga classes from my channel that are available for download, and it's totally free or donation based. So you'll find the link to that down below. Take your last little cat and cow here. Inhale to lift, exhale to contract, and then find your neutral tabletop pose. So neutral tabletop means that the spine is parallel to the floor and you're pulling the lower belly in and up. So we're not dropping the stomach down to the ground. Really push and stay stable. From here, you're going to extend your right leg up and back. Already that right hip is probably going to rotate out. Try to keep it down so the thigh, the knee, the shin, and the toes all point down to the floor. Push your left elbow straight, and then left arm is going to extend forward, bicep along the ear. So already this is probably challenging your balance a little bit. Notice if you're dropping the stomach down to the floor, try to pull it in so the low back is nice and flat. Take an inhale to extend, and then exhale, bring your elbow and your knee together to touch. Keep your right shoulder over your right wrist. Inhale, extend it back. Exhale, squeeze and contract. Last one here. Inhale, reach. Exhale to squeeze. And now re-extend the leg and the arm. Now let your left hand come down to the mat, so only the right leg is lifted. You're going to let your right toes drop down to the floor, roll to the inner edge of your right foot, lean on your left hand, and extend your right arm up. So this is your modified side plank. We're going to intensify it a little bit here. Squeeze into the glutes, find something to focus on, and then you're going to float and lift your right leg off the mat. So just standing on your left palm and your left shin. Think of reaching and pressing through that back heel, maybe looking up to the sky if you're really working on intensifying, working on your balance here. Shifting the gaze is a great way to give yourself a little bit of a challenge if you're starting to feel like balance is easy. Squeeze and lift it up a little bit more. And now keep that back leg lifted, look down to the mat, right hand comes down to the floor, right toes come back to the mat, and then pull your left knee in towards your nose. So round and contract. As you inhale, tap the left knee down to the floor, lift and look up, and then exhale, zip it back in. 2 more like this. We are working our core. Inhale, tap, look forward. Exhale, squeeze. Last one, tap it down, look. Exhale, squeeze, 3-legged dog. Left leg goes all the way up and back. Bend your left knee, open up that hip nice and wide, squeezing into the glutes. And let's find a low lunge. Left foot forward to the top of the mat, back knee down to the floor and lifting up with the chest and the upper body. Arms extend up overhead. So you should be feeling this in the right hip flexors, drawing the low belly in. Hip flexors that we're stretching right now is the same muscle we were engaging when we were bringing the elbow and the knee together. So a huge part of our core strength does come from the hip flexors. From here, you're gonna bend your right elbow and bring your hand to the middle of your shoulder blades. Place your left hand onto your right elbow and just take a little side bend. So you're trying to reach your right elbow over to the left side of your mat, pressing the hips forward and down. Breathe deeply into that side waist. And we'll lift all the way back up. Open the arms, palms come down to the floor. And then we take our flow. Inhale to plank pose. Exhale, chaturanga, lower down. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward dog. And we're just in our down dog for a moment, pressing back through the heels, lengthen the arms, and then take your tabletop pose on hands and knees. So realign your hands underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips. Spread the fingertips nice and wide. This time, left leg extends up and back. Keep that left hip rotating down so the thigh, the knee, and the toes point down. Draw the belly in. And then right arm extends forward, thumb is pointing straight up. Keep your left elbow nice and straight. Find something to focus on that's not moving to help with your balance. So core strength plays a huge part in balance, which is why we're really doing this at the beginning of class. Take an inhale to lengthen, and then exhale, contract. So hip flexor strength brings your left knee in. 2 more like this. Inhale, out. Exhale, squeeze in. Last one, left elbow is always straight. Inhale and exhale. Now extend back out. Let your right hand come to the floor. Left toes come to the mat and drop. So rolling to the inner edge of your left foot. Lean on your right hand and extend your left arm straight up to the sky. So you're aligning your top shoulder over the right one. Squeeze into the glutes, find something to focus on, and then lift your left leg off the floor. So to make it easier, you look down at your right hand. To make it a little harder, you start to rotate and look up towards your top hand. Reaching the tailbone to the heels, lengthening out in all 4 directions. Squeeze into the glutes, lift up a tiny bit more. Gaze is steady, breath is controlled. Look down to the ground, left hand to the floor, left toes down, and then push into the ball of that left foot to lift the right knee and hug the right knee to your nose. As you inhale, tap the right knee to the mat, look forward. Exhale, squeeze and pull it in. 2 more. Inhale, tap it down. Exhale, squeeze it in. Inhale to tap. Exhale to squeeze. 3-legged dog. Right leg goes all the way up and back. Bend your right knee. Open up that hip nice and wide. We come into our low lunge. Right foot in between the palms to the top of the mat. Back knee down. Chest and arms lift. Palms are facing towards one another, pressing the hips forward and down. And we'll take that little tricep stretch on the other side. So you bend your left elbow, fingertips between the shoulder blades, right hand to that left elbow, and then lean over to the right. So a really deep side bend. Coming all the way back up, frame your front foot with both palms. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Create some space in this down dog. Draw the low belly into the low back. Find a nice wrapping of the shoulders as if your armpits were going to be facing one another. Stretch it a little bit longer. And then bring your knees back down to the floor, tabletop pose. So intensifying the balance a little bit more. You're going to extend your right leg all the way back, just like we did before, but this time instead of extending our left arm forward, we're gonna try to do same arm as leg. It's a lot harder. So try to keep that right hip rotating down and see if you can possibly lift your right arm up. You're gonna wanna start opening up to the side as much as possible. Try to keep that right shoulder wrapping down. It's pretty challenging. Squeeze into the glutes. Keep your gaze steady. And now go ahead and open up to the side. So finding that same modified side plank as we did before. Right leg is lifted, right arm is straight up. Maybe looking up if that's comfortable for the neck, if you're still holding your balance. And now those of you that want to progress further are going to take the bow pose variation of this. Start to bend into your right knee, catch a hold of your right foot. Immediately notice if the knee is dipping down and the ankle is lifting up. Try as much as possible to keep them in the same plane. And then you're pushing the foot into the palm, leaning the chest back, taking a little back bend. A little bit of shaking and wavering is perfectly normal. I don't know if you guys can hear this, but there's a huge storm outside right now, and it is pouring rain. That's okay, because I love to practice yoga with the sound of the rain. Okay, if you have the hold of your right foot, carefully let it go. Come back out the way you came, right arm up. And then circle that right palm down to the mat. Just like before, right toes to the mat, press into the ball of that right foot, pull the left knee into the belly, but this time go right away into your downward dog. Left leg up, bend the left knee, open up that hip, squeeze it in, and we're coming to a high lunge. So left foot forward between the hands at the top of the mat, back heel is off the ground, and come on up. So left knee needs to bend directly over that second and third toe. You might need to bend a little bit through your back knee too. Arms extend up overhead. So find something to focus on and ground down. We're gonna bring our hands together at the front of the heart, and we're gonna come up to stand on that left leg. Pull your right knee in with you. Arms go back up, inhale, straighten the right leg, point through the toes. Exhale, warrior three. Lean the chest forward, extend the right leg back. We're gonna do that 3 more times. So inhale, stand on the left leg, reach the right leg forward. Exhale, arms back, leg back. 2 more. Breathe in, slow and controlled. Remember, you wanted balance. If you fall, no big deal. Last one, inhale, lift. Exhale, send it back into your warrior three. And then let's come all the way back up. Bend your elbows at a 90-degree angle. You're gonna wrap your right thigh over the left, eagle pose. Maybe the toes loop back. Right arm under the left, binding once or twice. Both knees need to be bent here. Tailbone is reaching down to the mat. Lower belly is hugging in and up. Squeeze it down a little bit more. Keep your arms exactly as they are. Simply unwrap the legs, send it back, warrior three with eagle arms. You should start to feel your left leg really engage. Bend into your left knee generously. Release the hands to the mat. Downward facing dog. Step it back. Hold here or take a vinyasa. Inhale to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. And from this down dog, knees come down to the floor. And we'll prepare on the sequence on the other side. Palms under the shoulders, knees underneath your hips. Belly is strong, core is engaged. Left leg extends all the way up and back. Keep that foot flexed, press into the heel, zip the stomach in. Same arm as leg. Push your right elbow straight and see if you can extend your left arm up without overly rotating out to the side. It's really hard. You are going to rotate out a little bit. It's totally normal. Even I'm opening up a little, but as much as possible, I'm trying to keep my chest facing straight down to the floor as opposed to the wall. You'll feel your glutes engage. Keep that right elbow straight, fingertips spreading wide, and then open it up to the side. So left arm up, left leg stays lifted. One arm over the other, one hip stacked over the other. And you're welcome to hold here, or you take your bow pose variation, bending into that left knee, catching a hold of the foot with your left hand. Keep the knee and the ankle relatively at the same height as your hip. And then start to push the foot and kick the foot into the palm as you lean the chest back. The knee's gonna wanna dip down. Try not to let that happen. Gazing up if you wanna challenge yourself a little more. So we come back out the same way we came in, extend the left arm and the left leg, look down to the mat, left hand down, left toes down, push into the ball of that foot, lift and pick up the right knee, three-legged dog, right leg up, bend your right knee, open up the hip, and we're coming to our high lunge. Right foot forward between the hands, push down into the heels, root to rise, lift on up. So hips are grounded and strong through the legs. Chest is lifted and tall. Crown of the head extending up to the sky. Start to bring your hands together at the front of the heart. We're going to step up onto our right leg, bringing the left knee with us. And once you have that, arms go back up. Left toes point forward. Inhale here. Exhale to warrior three. Shooting that leg back, arms back as well. Inhale, come back up, lift. Exhale, back out. Two more. Last one here, inhale, left leg forward, arms up. Exhale, warrior three. Eagle pose on the other side. You're gonna wrap your left leg over the right one, left arm underneath the right, binding once or twice. Both knees are deeply bent. Draw the navel in and up. Keep the shoulder blades down the back, elbows lifted, palms away from the face. So we'll take warrior three with our eagle arms. Just unwrap the legs. Extend your left leg back. Chest moves forward. Flexing into that back foot. Pull the navel in. And bend a little bit through your supporting leg. Hands come to the mat. Downward facing dog. From this down dog, we take our flow. Inhale to plank pose. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, downward dog. Knees come down to the mat. All right, from here, grab a hold of your two blocks and you're gonna take tabletop pose, but with blocks underneath your palms. So if you spread your fingertips wide, you'll probably end up having your pinky and your thumbs to the outer edges of the blocks, and that's perfectly fine. From there, try to create a little bit more distance between your three middle fingers. Keep your hips pretty much over the tops of your knees. And now from here, we're gonna tuck the toes under and we're gonna lift up into our plank pose. So the hips are not up high like down dog. You wanna keep them low, just like a regular plank, but with a bit more of a challenge because you're on your blocks. Draw the navel in, and then lift your right leg up a couple inches. Exhale, tap your right knee to your right elbow. Inhale, shoot it back. Exhale, right knee to your left elbow. Hold here. Let your left heel come down to the floor. Extend your left arm up to the sky and see if you can straighten your right leg off to the side. Push down into your right hand. Squeeze, lift up a little bit more. Look down, left hand to the floor. Lift the back heel off the mat and then drop your left heel over to the left. Lean onto your left hand, side plank pose. Right knee, right arm up, and maybe straighten that right leg. Looking to the mat, right hand down, downward facing dog. Stretch long through the arms and the chest. Slow down your breath. Let's go do this on the other side. Forward to your plank pose. Belly is in, shoulders over your wrists. Left leg lifts up just a few inches. Exhale, left knee to left elbow. Inhale, shoot it back. Exhale to twist, left knee to right elbow. Hold here. Drop your right heel to the mat. Lean on your left hand. Extend your right arm up and straighten your left leg out. This is your laying triangle on blocks. Looking down to the mat, right hand comes down, lift the back heel. Transition to side plank on the other side. Right heel down. Left knee and left arm up, and maybe straighten that leg, more like a little star shape. Downward facing dog. Keep your hands on the blocks. Let's take a vinyasa like this. Inhale to plank pose. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Let's take a brief little child's pose. We're getting ready for our peak pose, what we've been working towards. Big toes together, knees apart. Give yourself a few breaths just to slow down your heart rate. Gather your strength and energy, gather your focus. Notice the effects this practice has had on your mind and body. So from this child's pose, we are now ready to make our way into the peak pose, which is a two-legged dog. So we've already been doing like two-legged tabletop poses, lifting one arm and one leg. We're gonna try to do basically that same thing, but in downward dog. Now, don't get too frustrated if it doesn't work out the first time or the second time or even the 100th time. It's a really hard pose. I fall out of it all the time. So if you fall, don't worry about it. Just keep playing with it and eventually it'll feel a lot easier. So you start off in down dog, hands flat to the floor, fingertips are spreading wide, feet are hip width distance apart. Tuck the toes under and lift your hips up and back. So from down dog, let's move into three-legged dog. Right leg extends up and back, bend your right knee and open up your hip. To go a little further, you're gonna come up onto your left fingertips and maybe start to slide the left fingertips back more to the center of your mat. This is already really hard. If you wanna go further than this, you're gonna lift the left arm and maybe see if you can catch a hold of your right foot. You really need to press into your heel and into your palm for this to happen. Keep your gaze and your breath super steady. You'll probably fall out. I always have a hard time on this side, more than the other. But if you are able to hold on to your foot, you want to kind of kick it into the palm and do like your bow pose variation, similar to what we did when we were in our tabletop pose. So give yourself a few more breaths here on this side. And let's find our downward facing dog. Let's move over to the other side. Left leg lifts up, bend the left knee, open up that hip nice and wide, and this time come up onto your right fingertips. And maybe slide your right hand back. You can hold here, or you can reach your right arm back into space and see if you can find those left toes. If you're finding your left foot, try to push the foot into that palm to lift the back leg up. So I always find that this side is so much easier than the first side. You'll probably find that you have one side that's a lot easier too. Try not to be too hard on yourself. You've got nothing to prove. Falling doesn't mean anything. And find your downward dog. Let's bring the knees to the ground. Swing your legs out in front of you and lower all the way down. Great job. That was a hard class. Let's start to unwind a little bit. So with your feet flat on the mat, knees bent, cross your right ankle over the top of your left thigh. With that foot flexed, you're pressing the knee away from you. And you can hang out here, or you can draw the left knee into the belly. Start to take longer, slower, deeper breaths. Letting go of the need to work or use effort and strength, making this more passive. Give that leg one last little squeeze. And then just set your left foot back down to the floor. Wrap your right thigh over the left one. Reach your arms out to the sides, and you might need to move your hips a few inches to the right before letting your knees drop down to the left. So finishing with a laying spinal twist before we go and do that over on the second side. Try to keep your right shoulder pressing to the floor. And let's lift the knees and the legs back up to center. Feet flat to the mat. We'll take reclined pigeon on the other side. Left ankle crossing over the top of your right knee. And you can pull that in. Imagine you can breathe all the way down to that left glute, left hip. Don't know if you guys can hear that thunder. It's getting so loud. And give it one last little squeeze. And the right foot comes back down to the floor, over cross the left leg on top of the right. And you can move your hips a little off to the left side of your mat before both knees drop down to the right. And as you extend your arms out, try to ground your left shoulder blade on the floor. And start to lift the knees and the legs back up. We'll come into Shavasana, our final resting pose. Extend the arms and the legs out. Take up some space. Palms are facing up to the sky and just relax. Letting go of any expectations you had for yourself for this practice. Letting go of any frustrations and disappointments. And instead finding something that you can be proud of and thankful for. Start to breathe a little bit deeper. Moving fingers and toes, or turning the head side to side. You can reach your arms up, take a big stretch. And we'll come up to take a seat, finishing our practice together here. Eyes can close once you're sitting up nice and tall in a way that's comfortable for your hips and for your low back. Palms can join together at the front of the heart. And we'll close our practice with a chant of Om one time, inhaling to chant. Breathe in. Om. Namaste. Thank you so much, yogis, for being up for this creative, fun, challenging practice, a lot of asymmetrical poses. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave me a comment down below. Let me know how it went for you, what you thought was the hardest. And again, if you are new to my channel, please do hit that red subscribe button. It costs nothing, and it's just a really great way to help me out so I can continue to produce all these free yoga classes on a weekly basis. Thank you all so very much. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.